happy Wednesday to you, and thanks for taking time out this afternoon. What's up, Kathy, Heidi? Thanks for taking time out this afternoon to be with us. My name's James. We're gonna have a great session, and I'm excited about it because what we're talking about is, just a minute, I'm gonna change my view on this machine. There we go. What we're talking about is helping you win now that we're at the mid-year mark, right? Well, not quite. We're a little early, but it's better to look at it early than late. I think you'd agree with that. And so we're talking about what it means for you at the mid-year mark on what is probably one of the most fascinating years in your business. Now, just put in the chat with an emoji. I want you to use an emoji to describe what the first half of 2023 has looked like for you. Put an emoji in the chat right now. What has the first half of 2023 looked like for you? Because I imagine we're going to see some fascinating emojis to describe how you feel about this year. You know, when we came into the year, you were probably pretty excited about the opportunity because we've had, 2021 was a record-breaking year. 2022, we saw one of the largest drop-offs in home sales ever, and yet home prices were holding. You're probably making more money, and it was a pink, fluffy unicorn dancing on a rainbow. Whenever you go into a new year, you come in with big goals, big plans, and then reality sets in. And now we're in the middle of that race. It's time to evaluate where we are and make a decision about where we're going. I appreciate you joining us. My name's James Shaw, and I created the Pivot Shift Ahead Facebook group back in March of 2020 as a place for all of us to connect. Every morning, we host a free mastermind call at 8 o'clock Eastern time right here in Pivot Shift Ahead and on Zoom. You're always welcome to join us for it if you like. We have great conversations around how to succeed and win in today's market. 8 o'clock Eastern. PivotShiftCall.com is the Zoom. PivotShiftCall.com is the Zoom. Zoom room opens at 7:30. Call starts at 8 o'clock. You're always invited. And then, of course, we have many of you that are a member of my private mastermind community called Inspire. We meet on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. And if you want more info about that, go to jamesdshaw.com, jamesdshaw.com. Today, we're going to do our mid-year mark, finishing the year strong. I want to thank Vicki for helping put it together. Vicki Lukaczyk is a genius, and I get the joy of working with her on a regular basis, and we walked through what it was that we wanted to put together, and she helped create this today, so I'm excited to share it with you. But I want to know why you're here. First two hands that go up share what it is you hope to get out of this time together today. First two hands. And by the way, I shouldn't say first two hands. I might call on people that aren't the first two hands because we don't hear from you, but I got my first two. Mindy, you're up first. Mindy Doppler Nelson, what do you want to get out of today? Go ahead.
I want to keep the momentum going that I have because I'm 50% ahead of where I was last year, and closing the pendings I have this month will equal what I had all of last year. Come on now. This is what we're looking for. And so we're winning the first half, but just because you're winning the first half doesn't mean you win the game. We're going to talk about that today. Mindy, proud of you. Nice job. Way to go. Let's be nice to the Canadians. We have Canadians on the call too, and so we're going to jump ahead to one. Irene, hello in Toronto. Good afternoon. Hello. Irene, you there? You're not there? You're unmuted. Go ahead. Irene is not there.
Hello, right. I am.
There we go. Go ahead, yes. Irene. What do you hope to get out of today?
I am trying. Can you guys hear me?
We can hear you great.
Damn it.
We can hear you, Irene. Go ahead. Okay, no worries.
Okay, awesome.
Ann Rosen. Go ahead, Ann Rosen.
You guys are all frozen. Hello from Toronto. So,
boy, we're off to a great start. This is the best Zoom you've ever been on in your entire life. So, but we're going to go with Ann. Irene, we'll come back to you. Ann Rosen, why are you on this morning?
All right.
Thanks, James. I love perspective and knowing. I mean, comparing isn't the right word because I can tell you the last couple of years when everyone's talking about their amazing markets and their amazing speed and the high prices, that is not what we experienced downtown Chicago. However, people are moving, and I am within $5,000 of my GCI of all of last year. And the pipeline, which we never really talked about from any direction the last few years, is something I have been visually tracking, and it's working. Follow up with the pipeline.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You're exactly right. Okay, Irene, I think you can hear us in Canada. Go ahead.
Yeah, internet in Canada is a little weak. Thanks, James. So I want to be like Anne and Mindy. We are on the opposite end of that spectrum, doing absolutely everything right, doubling, tripling, sometimes quadrupling our lead gen efforts, doing everything we can. We're still behind goal. So I'm hoping to tweak some stuff.
So I'm hearing that from a lot of people, Irene, that a lot of people have doubled down, tripled down, and working extra, and yet they're still a little bit behind. Good news is, I don't really care where you are right now, on track or behind. It's only June 7th, right? It's only June 7th, and we all have opportunity to succeed and win. And so let's start talking about it. I got some slides to show you. By the way, Inspire members, all of these slides have been uploaded into the Inspire member dashboard. So if you're an Inspire member and want access to the slides, all you got to do is jump on the Inspire member dashboard and you'll have access to those. Hold on one second. I want to click a different button and reshare. Let me do this differently. All right, let's do this. Okay, so Inspire members, again, you have access to the slides at jamesdshaw.com in the Inspire member dashboard. Everybody else, you can watch and follow along. It's about finishing the year strong. That's really what we're looking at today, and I want you all to do that. And I think that now that we're in June, it makes a lot of sense to evaluate your progress, where you are right now. And at this point, like it says, you may be on track or off track. We heard from both, right? We heard from Mindy Doppler-Nelson, who says she's going to hit she's going to meet what she did all of last year sometime this month. We heard Ann Rosen, who's running ahead. Then we heard Irene, who says, hey, I'm behind, I'm off goal, and yet I'm working twice as hard as I had to in the past. Jack Smith said this morning on the call, on the morning mastermind call, he's 18% behind goal. And here's the thing, if you're behind, who gives a flip? That's what this slide should say. Who gives a flip if you're behind? Just acknowledge where the problems are and then work on strategies to figure out how to get you back on track. Oh, by the way, if you're ahead, who gives a flip? Nobody cares that you're ahead. I'm so proud of you. Review your goals and priorities and make a decision about where you've got to get better, right? See, these are some questions we can use to ask ourselves to stay on track. So what did I do? Well, you know me. If you have hung out with me for any period of time, you know where I go for help and support and answers. And that's in a little book that maybe you've heard of called The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Anybody heard of it? I have it right here in my backpack. I carry it with me always. And it's a smart little book right here. This is Shift. But if you've ever heard of the book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, it's red. You probably read it. There's a page in there, page 167. And page 167 gives us a series of questions that we need to look at. And these are the questions that we're going to use as our guide for today's conversation. I'll walk through them each one by one in a second. And as we walk through the questions, I think it's important that we consider this. A few years ago, I was doing a bold in Orlando, and then the next day, I had to be in Boise, Idaho. This is where I always say my joke. I think the people at Maps had never seen a map, because I was doing bold in Orlando on Tuesday and Boise, Idaho on Wednesday, and I live in Tampa. Like, that's a lot of travel, right? But I did it as a favor to my friend Stacy States, who is the team leader up at the Boise Market Center. And so one day I get on the airplane and I sit down, and I've been upgraded, which is great because I'm flying from Orlando to Salt Lake City to catch a connection to Boise, Idaho. And I sit down, and then there's a seat next to me that's open, and in comes Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz, who coached at Notre Dame and some other places. Lou Holtz came in, and he happens to be sitting next to me on this flight from Orlando to Boise, Idaho. And I just said, Coach, if it's okay with you, I want you to rest and relax and enjoy your flight. And I don't want to bother you, but you coached at Notre Dame. I grew up in Indiana. You are an elite coach. I like to think that I'm an elite coach. And can I just ask you one question, if you don't mind? And he said, sure. By the way, Coach Holtz was amazingly kind and talked to me for about an hour on the flight. But I asked the question, I said, well, in your mind, what is the difference between a winner and a loser? Because you had teams that succeeded at a high level, and then you had teams that didn't. And he said, it's super simple, how you play the second half. At the end of the day, how you play the second half determines whether or not you win or lose. And that's why, look, I'm excited for Mindy Doppler-Nelson that she's going to hit, her last year's goal at this point this year, but that doesn't mean she's going to hit this year's goal. I'm excited for Ann Rosen that's on track to hit her production goals for this year, but it doesn't mean she's going to. And I'm excited for Irene, who's behind, because she can still hit the goal. Because how you played the second half determines whether or not you were a winner or a loser. We'll have an example of that coming up in just a second. But let's start and look at these questions. And again, this comes from page 167 of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. And here's what page 167 asks. And these are great questions to ask yourself to bring in some personal accountability around where you are right now and where you're going next. First question is, well, what's your goal? Now, I want to be real transparent with you. I think that the number one way to measure the success of your business, anybody know what it is? Put it in the chat. What do I believe is the number one indicator outside of profitability for the health of your business? Put it in the chat. What is the number one indicator of the health of your business outside of profitability? It's units. Units, because that's what you have control over, not volume, not GCI, because those are usually, volume is determined by your market. Average sale price will be determined by your local market. Irene's average sale price, right, is going to be higher than Brittany McAllister's average sale price. Irene's in Toronto. Brittany McAllister is in Omaha, Nebraska. So those average sale prices are going to be different. What they get paid is traditionally a percentage of the sale price. So I think after profitability, units is the leading indicator of the health of your business. Now, you can look at all of the things, but what we want to do is, again, go and ask ourselves, what was our goal in those things? What was our goal when it came to units? What was our goal in listing appointments? What was our goal in listings taken? What was our goal in buyers worked with? Think about those goals and then just ask without judgment, how did we do? How do we do? Just go back and look at it. You have the numbers. And then number three, without judgment, ask, how do I feel about it? You know, Irene has some thoughts about how she feels about being behind goal, and Ann has thoughts about how she feels about being on track. And then number four, based on what you did, what's your goal now and what do you need to do? And then ask, is there anything that might keep you from doing it? And if you needed support or training, what might that be? That's what we're going to unpack today. So let's ask the first question. Question number one is to define what our goal is. And so I want you to ask yourself, when it comes to your annual, mid-year, and monthly goals, first, question number one, was it a realistic goal? Was it built on a plan or built on a hope and a dream? I meet agents all the time that said, hey, James, last year I sold, let me rephrase it. They'll say, James, this year I'm gonna do 100 units. Oh, happy day. Oh, happy day. I want you to do 100 units. Oh my gosh, let's go after it and let's get it. And I go, how many did you do last year? 17. Woo! We're gonna go from 17. Hold on, I got muted. We're gonna go from 17 to 100. How exactly do you plan to do that? Do you have a plan in place to do that? And a lot of times the answer is what? No. That's a business built on a hope and a dream. I need you to ask yourself, was the goal realistic? And if it wasn't, can I just be real honest and transparent with you? It's okay to change it. It's okay to change it. Question number two, did any unexpected conditions arise that made the goal unachievable? You may have started out the year great and wonderful and everything was awesome. And then, you know what, in February, you got some bad health news. You got some bad health news and you had to pivot and go do some other things. And that caused your production to go another direction. You had a parent who needed you needed to care for a parent and you hadn't been caring for this parent. Now you got to go care for the parent. Something's come up with your child. Your spouse has lost their job and that sidetracked you for a while. Is there anything that you didn't expect that made that goal unachievable? But we cannot park in those two things for too long. We got to go to the next one, which is, what are we going to do to solve it? What are we going to do to solve whatever challenge we have so we can make sure we move forward? What are our strategies that we can utilize to make up lost ground so that we don't get left behind? Now, 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to interview Ryan Holiday. Our Inspire members got to hang out with Ryan Holiday. And if you're not an Inspire member, you can join at jamesdshaw.com and you can watch the recording of my call with Ryan Holiday through the end of the month. But Ryan Holiday has written multiple books. He's sold 3 million copies of his books in total. And the guy's a multiple-time bestseller, and he's an absolute genius. If you were on the Ryan Holiday call, talk about how good it was in the chat. But Ryan Holiday said this. He said, the biggest enemy inside the room is our ego, our unwillingness to do small things. And then he went on and said, market conditions are not what's getting in our way. It's what we're willing to do or not to do. I'll say it again. The state of the market is not what's getting in your way. It's what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do that's preventing you from reaching your goals. Outside of either the goal being unrealistic, that you didn't have a plan in place to even pull it off to begin with, it was a hope and a dream, or outside of number two, something happening unexpected in your world that caused you to go backwards. Any other issue you face in your business is likely based on your unwillingness to do the things required to reach the goal. Now, that's okay. As Jordan Freed told our Inspire members last week, our willings must match our wants. If our willings, what we're willing to do, is not in alignment with what we want to achieve, then we'll never achieve it. So you either adjust what you're willing to do, raise it, or you lower what you want to accomplish. Either answer is fine. I don't care, but you have to be real with yourself about it as we're at this mid-year mark. You have to decide where you're going and where you're going next. I hope this is helpful to you. Let's keep trucking. I like you guys. You're fun. So your assignment, right, is to make the decision. What strategies can you implement that'll help you make up lost ground if you're behind? Now, starting, let's see, Vicki, I think we decided it's going to be June 26th. Write this down. Starting June 26th, we're going to start a program called Act 2. I'm calling it Act 2, right? Because we're going into the second act of the year. And this is where we solve our problems and succeed. Have you ever seen a musical? In the musical, there's always some drama at intermission at the end of Act 1, and then Act 2 comes and we solve our problem and succeed. And that's what we're going to do this year. June 26th, we're starting Act 2. It's called Reflect, Adjust, and Succeed, where we're going to give you strategies that other top agents are using that will help you make up lost ground and fill your pipeline. I'll talk more about that in just a minute. But that was question number one. What was your goal? Now, question number two is, how did you do? Now, I apologize to my friends in the ATL for this reference, but this is going to be a sore subject for them. But Super Bowl 51, does anybody remember Super Bowl 51? It's the perfect example of winning when you're behind. This is what Lou Holtz is telling me, right? Lou Holtz said, how you play the second half determines whether or not you're a winner or a loser. Well, in 2017 Super Bowl 51, the Falcons and the Patriots are playing, and the Patriots ended up setting a record, the largest deficit made up to win the Super Bowl. They were down 21-0 at one point. They go into halftime. The score is 21-3. Falcons are up 21-3. Are you feeling pretty good if you're a Falcons fan about winning the Super Bowl if you're going into halftime up 21-3? However, as you know, Tom Brady and the Patriots.
Shut up.
I know, sorry, but you got to stay on mute. Tom Brady and the Patriots came back and won 34-28.
I agree.
34-28. Y'all got to stay on mute though, if you don't mind. Thank you so much. You can put your thoughts about this Super Bowl in the chat, but I'm not the one that lost it or won it. I'm just reporting what happened. 34-28, the final score. First overtime in history and one of the best Super Bowls probably ever. And so here's the question. You can still win if you're behind. You can still win if you'd like to. It's up to you. It's up to you. So here's then the next question is, you look at where you are, where you expected to be, and then you got to ask yourself, how do you feel about it? And the key to this is you got to do it without judgment. You have to choose to reflect on where you are without assigning blame, without inflating your ego. You just have to make the decision that where you are is where you are based on the actions you took, and now you're going to reevaluate and move forward. Dan Milliman, who wrote a ton of books, but the one that most of you have probably heard of is Way of the Peaceful Warrior, said, looking back, we see with great clarity what once appeared as difficulties now reveal themselves as blessings. You can go back and look at the challenges that you experienced as we started this year and ask yourself, How can I turn those difficulties into a blessing moving forward in the last half of the year? And then think about what's going to happen next. Teresa Amable has a book called The Progress Principle. And they did a ton of research looking at how we look at goals and progress toward our goals. And here's what they found out. The first one was, and does this ever happen? How many of you have ever done this? You get home and you tell your spouse, your partner, your kid, your neighbor, your friend, your sister-in-law's baby sister's cousin Tracy. I don't know who you talk to when you get home from work, but you say, today was a great day. Who's ever done this? Today was an awesome day, right? And what it was is because you felt like you made progress towards something. The days that you feel like were just knock them out of the park days were days that you felt like you'd made progress towards something. And then you have days and you come in and like, today was awful. Today was one of the worst days in the history of Earth. Today was absolutely awful. That's because you had some sort of setback, something you didn't expect. You're measuring in the moment little things as to whether or not you're winning or losing. Well, there's a great quote from Teresa that I want to share. And we had this morning on the Pivot Shift Ahead call. And if you're on that, I love you. Thank you for being on. If you aren't on it, start joining us 8 o'clock Eastern, pivotshiftcall.com, pivotshiftcall.com. I hope you'll start joining us. But we shared this on the call, and it's a quote from the author of The Progress Principle, Teresa Amable, and it says, try to remember the last time you or anyone you know had a truly enormous breakthrough, solving a problem or achieving an audacious goal. It's pretty hard, because breakthroughs are very rare events. On the other hand, small wins can happen all the time. Those are the incremental steps toward meaningful and even big goals. And our research showed of all the events that have the power to excite and engage people in their work, the single most important is making progress, even if that progress is a small win. That's the progress principle. Well, then I would say, ask yourself, what's a small win that you could have every single day? How could you measure success in a day? I'll cover that in just a second, but I'm just curious. I'd love to hear from a couple of people. Raise your hand. What's a small way that you can know whether or not you've won? Masha, start us off. We haven't heard from you in a long time.
Thank you. Well, I have a lot of trouble with this. So I actually do a success journal every night so that I remind myself of all the things I am accomplishing, because I tend to overlook all those small things. But they could be calls to my clients. They could be calls to realtors who I want to be in relation with. They could be reaching out to contractors to see if they know anybody that needs help. Sometimes it's just getting up and doing my calls. For me, that's the hardest thing. And those are things I like to write down.
I like it. I love that Meg Dady just put in the chat, it's 10 push-ups a day. 10 push-ups a day. Look, anybody can probably do 10 push-ups. I said anybody can probably, because I don't even know if I can do 10 push-ups. But 10 push-ups a day is a way to win. Krista, I don't think I've ever heard you speak before, so I'm calling on you. Good morning.
I told you at Elevate that I was going to talk more, so here we go. So I used to have a really hard time about celebrating those small wins, and so one thing that I do is kind of what she said was, I have my notebook and I have everything that I need to accomplish for the day, and so when I see those little lines that are checked off, it makes me feel good. But I also, on the other side of it, I took it one more step and I write down literally from every activity that I do, so I can go back at the end of the day and be like, I spent way too much time doing that activity, or what was I doing in this gap for an hour? What was I doing? And I found some of that time I ended up going down rabbit holes and I wasn't accomplishing what I needed to accomplish. So that's been a good eye opener for me.
I like it. Thanks for sharing. Glad that you did. And you kept your word, which is really important. So I like that. Thank you so much. Small wins add up. And one way, as you kind of reset at this mid-year mark, is to just make a decision about what's a small win that you can have daily. Many of you know my commitment of 10 minutes running every single day. It's 155 consecutive days that I've run at least 10 minutes. Most days, by the way, considerably longer than that. has turned into 13 pounds lost with more to go. And yet that's a small win that I can have every day. Now, what Teresa says on this, I shared your quote from her earlier, but she says she did this interview with Daniel Pink, and she says, religiously protect at least 20 minutes and ideally a little bit, or ideally much more every day to tackle something in the work that matters most to you. Hide in an empty conference room if you have to, or sneak out in disguise to a nearby coffee shop. And then this is the key. Make note of any progress you've made, even if it's a small win, and then decide where to pick up again the next day. The progress and the mini celebration of simply noting it can lift your inner work life. We heard Orly talk about this morning, only Orly in Bergen County. She says she keeps a wins journal so that she knows that she's on track, that she's doing the right things on a regular basis. Folks, if you do that when things get tough, you can go back and look at them and figure out where you're succeeding and where you aren't. So that's the question or that's the answer to how do you feel about it? How do you feel about where you are, and are you tracking your successes along the way? Now, let's go to question number 4. And question number 4 was this: based on our goal, what do we need to do now? The key at the mid-year mark is to make the adjustments necessary to either A, keep you on track, or B, catch you back up. So here's 6 things that you can think about. The first thing I want you to think about is this: that don't let any setbacks that you have experienced this year cause you to throw away the rest of the year. It is June 7th, my mom's birthday, by the way. Today, my mom is 70, for anyone keeping score. The year is not over. It's June 7th. You've got plenty of time. You can hit the refresh button right now. Have you ever had this where your phone is not working for whatever reason, and so you just turn it off and turn it back on again, and then it's fixed? Has this ever happened to somebody? Yes or no in the chat? Your computer, your TV, whatever. You can do the same thing. Hit the reset button and start over. And here are 6 things to consider. Number 1, remember why you started in the first place. Why did you pick real estate? Nobody made you do this. You made a decision that this is what you're going to do. Remind yourself of your underlying purpose. Why did you even want to achieve this goal you set for yourself in the first place? If you can revisit your core values that align with that goal that you set, then you'll be able to remember the reasons behind the goal easier. It reignites your motivation. So go back and remember why you started. In fact, I know somebody that they write down why they do it every day. Every day in their journal, they write down, here's why. Here's why I'm doing this today. Here's why I'm doing this today. Number 2, jump back in wherever you are. Sometimes when we get behind, it can halt our progress. But what I want you to do is get after it. Choose to set a routine or reset one if you need to, that's going to help you achieve your goals. I'll go deeper on that in just a second, so you know exactly what it might take for you to reach your goals. But choose to set a routine that will help you reach your goals. And then add accountability. When you add accountability, it makes you more likely to achieve the goal. That's number 2. Number 3, make a plan for the future. Take time to recognize potential pitfalls that you'll face and plan what you'll do when you encounter them. Doing this will make you less likely to be derailed further. We like to call this, by the way, a pre-mortem. You've heard of this, right? Where after a project ends, and this comes from Ryan Holiday, he teaches this in The Obstacle is the Way, that when your project's over, you'll do a post-mortem. What worked, what didn't work, and what do you need to adjust? But what we're suggesting you do is a pre-mortem. Anticipate what obstacle might show up in your way. If you join us for our Act 2 series that starts at the end of the month, we'll actually walk you through how to do a pre-mortem. We'll do a post-mortem first. So you'll do a scorecard kind of looking at where are you right now. That's your post-mortem of the first half of the year. Then we'll do a pre-mortem of where do you want to go and what might get in your way. That might help you a lot. Number 4, say no to time sucks. There are too many distractions. Too many distractions is bad for goal achievement. We want to eliminate the time wasters, set boundaries, and stick to them. Number 5, recommit in writing. This comes out of The One Thing. How many of you read The One Thing? The One Thing, in which Vicky Lukaczyk did the research for that, and she's on the call. She helped put this class together. But in The One Thing, They found out this, that people who wrote goals down were 42.1% more likely to succeed in achieving them. But if you wrote the goals down and then turned in a regular progress report to a friend, you were nearly 80% more likely to achieve the goal. So recommit in writing and then share the progress with somebody else. And then finally, number 6, focus on progress, not perfection. Is your goal too big or too vague? Do you not have clarity around what you're actually trying to accomplish? Is it too broad? If so, it's helpful to break it down into smaller pieces and then focus on the things that you can measure, right? Think about the progress that you've made towards these things instead of dwelling on the mistakes that you experienced along the way. Ask yourself this question: what lessons have you learned in the process? It's about measuring the success along the way. So then how do we do that? Well, I think you've got to be able to make adjustments at times. And so I interviewed Anna Kruger. Anna Kruger is a MAPS coach. She's an absolute genius. And her job is to kind of benchmark and trend. And I interviewed Anna Kruger. And in fact, this is, you can watch it inside of Pivot Shift Ahead. If you just go to Pivot Shift Ahead and type in Anna Kruger, it'll pop up. If you go to jamesdshaw.com and click Agent Interviews, it'll pop up. And you can watch the entire conversation I had with Anna Kruger. That's great. But I asked her, I said, what are some benchmarks that we should look at? Conversions and various things. And she says, well, first, you got to ask yourself when you're looking at where you are you doing what you're supposed to do? Are you making calls? If you aren't making calls, and by making calls, I mean connect with your database and lead generating, then you need to start doing that. And then number 2, she says, ask, are you working on your skills? If you're not working on your skills, we're in a skill-based market, you start working on your skills. So the 2 questions she says to ask are, number 1, am I working? And number 2, am I improving my skills? If you are working and you are improving your skills and you're behind goal, it may just be the state of the market requires more conversations than you expected. That's it. But if you aren't making your calls or aren't improving your skills, you may want to do that before you try anything else. And here are the things we should consider. The first one is 6 conversations an hour. When you're lead generating and talking to your database, the target is 6 conversations an hour or 1 conversation every 10 minutes. This is how you know if you're on track. I'm giving you the measurement tools you need to look at daily to know if you're winning. What are the many successes that you can celebrate? Am I having 6 conversations an hour? Now, she said, it takes 9 additional, Irene, this will help you, 9 additional conversations this year to get an appointment than it took last year. So Irene, you're saying you're talking to more people? That's right, you are. Because it takes about 9 more conversations to get the same number of appointments. Now, number 3 is the big one, 100 contacts to a closing. Every 100 contacts should lead to a closing for you. Super simple then. Take your goal of how many closings you need between now and the end of the year, multiply it times 100. That's how many contacts are going to be required for you to do that. Now, you probably need 3 appointments to have a closing. Maybe before it took you 2 or 1, but now it takes 3. On average, it's going to take you 3 minutes in a conversation to get to motivation. And anything longer than 12 minutes means you need an appointment. So these are some key metrics. And my guess would be, and I'm just curious, and I'll let some people share, is this what you're finding in your business? Is this in alignment with what you're experiencing? Or what changes have you had to make when it comes to talking to the number of people you need to talk to get to goal, number of contacts to a closing? I'll open it up. You can share. And again, I reserve the right to call on people we don't often hear from. But what are you experiencing in your business when it comes to conversation, to appointments to closings, so that you know what adjustments you're going to have to make moving forward? Renee?
Hi, from Colorful, Colorado. You know this, and I've mentioned this before. I have a lot of unmotivated buyers and sellers. And what I have found is just getting the agreement signed does not, it's trash until it's cash. So I have to stack. Never before have I had 7 listings on my book, right? And I have 7 on my book right now. which is on the market or under contract. And it's a mental adjustment for me that I have to keep pushing to stack the board. So I've had to get a second dry erase board because I keep the scoreboard, and you have to do those little, I'm a visual person, so I have a scoreboard that has all my goals, and I have to write their name on it when I have a house. And I had to expand the number because I realized to get to 36, I may have to put 50 under agreement to get to my 36, which is a hard mentality. So I have to plan on an even larger number just to get to that close number.
Bottom line, Renee, it takes more conversations to get the same number of appointments. It takes more appointments to get the same number of listings, and it's going to take more listings to get the same number of closings. Go ahead.
And it's more education. It's the same conversations over and over in a different way. And I have to realize that I cannot get frustrated with the way that somebody hears me. I have to understand what they are hearing and ask them what they're hearing so that I can explain it in another way and another way. And that goes back to better skills.
100%. Mitch, what's up, buddy? I haven't seen you in a long time. You got to unmute though, so I can hear you. That's the key to this.
Okay, can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Hey, James. So I called my DTD2, which I haven't been doing this morning. It's P&L. And I got one piece of business for the week. If I get one piece of business every single week, that's pretty achievable, right? Calling my DTD2.
That's 52 opportunities. That's probably 30 something, 40 something deals. If you just get down and do the right thing day in and day out. See, that comes back to the decision we have to make. Or our willings in alignment with our wants. Are we willing to do the things that we need to do in order to achieve the goals that we've set for ourselves? Mitch, nice share. I'm proud of you. Good job. Get it done.
Thank you.
All right. So let's go back in and take a look a little bit further. And again, you can watch the Anna, Vicky, I always want to call her Anna Kendrick. It's Anna Kruger. And so her name is Anna Kruger. I'd love to interview Anna Kendrick too. If anyone can help set that up, that would be great. I'd be happy to interview her someday. But Anna Kruger's benchmarks are pretty on target. This makes it easy because now, what did I say earlier? Celebrate wins. If you know that you can do 6 to 8 contacts in an hour and you did 6 contacts an hour, that's a win. If you know how many contacts you need to get an appointment, that's a win. Go get it. All right, go get it. Go get it done. The next piece I want to look at is this, is that your goals are absolutely achievable. You have a decision to make about if your willingness to get there. The next 90 days are critical because while today is June 7th, my belief is you likely need it listed between Labor Day and October 1st to get paid in 2023. You likely need it listed between Labor Day and October 1st to get paid in 2023. You need that buyer, the buyer agency agreement or buyer broker agreement, whatever you call it in your state, signed between today or between Labor Day and October 1st, probably somewhere in there, depending on the average days on market in your area, in order to get paid in 2023. The next 90 days are absolutely critical. So here are some questions I want you to ask yourself. Number one, are your current goals realistic and achievable? Now you have, again, 2 choices. You can lower your wants or raise your willings. That's up to you. You have to decide, are your current goals realistic and achievable? Number 2, do you have the right people in place to achieve your goals? Do you have the right support around you to help you? And then number 3, are you prepared for setbacks that may come in along the way? Because if you rewind 6 months ago, you were very excited and yet something set you backward. Are you prepared for those things? So here's what I ask you now. I'm going to open it up for a straight mastermind. What do you have to do to get back on track? You raise your hands and tell me, based on what we've talked about today and where you are in your business right now and what you need to do next, you tell me, what do you have to do right now to get back on track? Africa Wallace in Cincinnati, hello. You got to unmute though, so I can hear you.
Look, I hit the one, forgot the other one. Good afternoon, everyone. For me, I have to get back to doing the D2. I have to, because like you said, those 6 to 8 contacts really makes a difference. You get the business. And right now I'm busy, but no money is coming in.
So you've got to go back to doing the things you're supposed to do every day. Will get you back on track. Karina Jordan, hello.
Hey everyone from Central Arkansas. So I had to increase my my pipeline and expected on the under contracts. We were having, if I had 5 in the pipeline monthly, we were hitting and closing 5. But attrition is real. Buyers are getting cold feet, and so we've increased it. In order to hit my numbers of a minimum of 5 closings a month, I have to have 10 in the pipeline at all times.
Look, I think this is that. If that's the only advice anybody gets out of this call today, that's the winner right there. Straight up, and this is why you're a genius and why I like you so much, because straight up, in 2021 and the first part of 2022 and the last half of 2020, it was a 1-for-1. It was get somebody under contract, get paid. Take a listing, get it under contract, get paid. It was a 1-for-1 across the board. 1-for-1's over. Renee brought it up. You brought it up. Folks, fallout is real. Probably upwards of 20 to 30% of your contracts will fall out this year. You just simply have to have more of them. Your goals do not change, but your path to the goal changes. Karina, I know you like Disney. If you are going to come over here, then what do? You got to get over to I-10 somehow. I don't know how you get here from Arkansas. You get over to I-10 and you drive across, and then you come down 75 or something like that to get to O-Town. That's to get to Orlando. And so here's the thing. If you packed up all your stuff, you got your mouse ears, you got your tank top, your Disney shirt, and your fancy shorts, and your little lounge fly backpack on, and you are ready to come down to Disney World to celebrate and have some fun, but you go get on I-10 and drive west, you're not getting to Disney World. You're getting up in Disneyland, not Disney World, because you're going the wrong way. See, we have to remember, it is our intention. It is our direction, rather. It's our direction, not our intention, that determines our destination. You might intend all day to knock your goals out of the park, but if you're going the wrong direction, you'll never get there. Direction, not intention, determines your destination. If you say all day, I'm going to get 10 under contract, but you're doing the activities to get 2 under contract, you'll never get 10. Doesn't matter how hard you intend to. Direction, not intention, determines your destination. Amina, I haven't heard from you in a long time. Good morning, afternoon. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. It is definitely what you just said, James, for me. We're halfway to the year. Our circumstances, life still happen. So for me, it's just focusing on my contacts that I have to do daily and just make sure I'm doing my work. That's what's going to make me hit my goal for the year. And I'm determined that I can hit it by me just doing that, because being in my feelings and my circumstances, obviously, I don't get paid that way and nothing's going to get resolved. So just focusing on what I need.
Have you all heard a theme here? The year is not won in the year. The year is won in the day. You win enough mornings, you win enough days, you win enough days, you win enough weeks, you win enough weeks, you win enough months. If you win enough months, you'll win the year. But it comes down to, it's an in the moment. And that's why I always ask, are you doing the next right thing? Paula, you get the last one. Then we got to kick it. Go ahead, Paula.
Yeah, it's just having more conversations, getting into my database more than I have been, and just making that my #1 priority.
Yeah, that's what you have to decide, right? Are you going to get back into your database and do what you're supposed to do? So here's the 3 questions I want you to ask yourself. Are your current goals realistic and achievable? Do you have the right people in place to support you? And are you prepared for any setbacks? Now, today was designed to give you an overview of some things to think about as we're at the mid-year mark. But I don't want to stop here. I really want to support you in truly achieving your goals. And so that's where our next piece comes in, right? Today's the inspiration, but now it's time to put in the perspiration. It's time for you to reflect, adjust, and succeed. And that's why we're launching Act 2. That's what I'm calling it, Act 2. Reflect, adjust, and succeed, starting June 26th. And in Act 2, here's what we're going to do. We will first explore the state of your business today using our success scorecard. So we'll send you the scorecard, and it'll have various measurable pieces that you can go through and figure out where are you thriving, where are you kind of average, and where are you behind goal or behind where you think you should be. And what that'll help you do is allow you to figure out what needs adjusting, maybe what it is you should just eliminate altogether, and then finally what's missing. Then next, we'll do your Act 2 pre-mortem. This is where we will anticipate the things that might show up to derail you, to get you off track, to keep you from reaching goal, so that you can anticipate them now, prepare for them now, so that when they show up, the world doesn't come to an end because you went, I was ready for this. So we'll talk about how to complete your Act 2 pre-mortem. And then we'll share somewhere between 3 to 4 lead generation strategies that top agents are using that will fill your pipeline right now so you can get that business you need between Labor Day and October 1st, including step-by-step playbooks on how to implement that. To enroll in this, you go to act2.jamesdshaw.com. It's a makeup of some live and self-led sessions. The live sessions are June 26 and 28 at 1 p.m. June 26 and 28 at 1 p.m. The self-led sessions will have the interviews at the agents along with their playbooks. $99 for this course through Friday. That's the early bird price. It goes up to $129 after that. Those of you who are members of Inspire, it's free for you. And you have just gotten an email that tells you how to register for free, Inspire members. So if you're an Inspire member, that's my private mastermind. You can enroll in this at no charge. Use the promo code that I just sent to you. It's complimentary for you. Inspire is $99 a month. And you're welcome to take it for free. Those of you who are not Inspire members, you can either join Inspire and get it for free. You join Inspire at jamesdshaw.com, or you can just pay the $99 and take this course, act2.jamesdshaw.com, where again, we'll go in and give you all the pieces. We're going to do the scorecard to rate the first part of your business. We'll work on the pre-mortem, and then we'll walk through specific strategies to help you succeed. So if you'd like to take this, act2.jamesdshaw.com. Let me ask you real quick, was this of value to you? I'd love to hear. So raise your hands and tell me what part of this was of some value to you. What's your aha? Carrie, go ahead, start us off.
So for me, what was of value is I did have something medically happen. I do have people that count on me heavily. And so my personal life bleeding into my business. And so for me, it was, don't allow my setbacks to mess up my year and to reset. Like, I know that I can do this, and everyone's been amazing and people are encouraging, and we have such a beautiful group that we can draw from if we need that energy. So just knowing and believing in myself that I can do this, and my setback isn't going to determine what my year ends like.
Yeah, you're the perfect example of what we put in here about was there an unexpected condition arise that made the goal unachievable? You had a hip replacement. Like, that's going to make it tough to go on listing appointments and show buyers and all that kind of stuff. And you have to heal, and you have to take care of yourself, and you have to be healthy. So that's going to set you behind. And so then you have a choice. Are you going to make some adjustment in your goal this year, or now that you're back and I don't know if you're 100%, but you're back and feeling much better than you were a few months ago, can you make some adjustments in your activities to get you back on track? But you didn't anticipate that in November or December when you sat down and did your business plan. So that's why we remove all judgment around it, Carrie. That's a great share. Z, you're up next.
Yes, thank you so much. It's all about not blaming yourself and going small. Like, I always want big. It's just to narrow it down and go small. And it doesn't matter what the wins are, just to be in the moment and accept it. And like I'm not to say earlier, eliminate the attitude, or eliminate the, whatever it is, just eliminate that and just go small and be grateful in the moment.
Win the morning to win the day to win the week, win the week to win the month, win the month to win the year. Thank you, Z. Sandra, you're up next.
Hi, it was funny because as soon as you started and you asked the question, was my goal realistic? The first thing that came to my head was no. And because I didn't strategize to my goal, I will put it out there. It's a number that I think I can accomplish, and I still think I can do it, but I really didn't plan for it. So that was a big aha. And then I did have to take care of my mom for the last 6 months of last year. And that did not help at all for my first quarter. So I'll just put it out there. I have not closed any deals whatsoever until right now, but I do have 3 closings right now, and I have 7 buyer agreements signed. So I did put, as soon as she was gone, my first quarter was actually built up my pipeline again with events and connecting with people that I haven't talked to in the past 6 months of last year. So that was huge, because thank you. It just makes me feel that I'm not alone on this. And the conversation this morning, it was huge, because I often say to my girls that just find that one thing at the end of the day when you put your head on the pillow that makes your day worth. And that actually translates to what Orly was saying to me, because I want to find, just like I find that, I want to find my wins. And I've been doing that without realizing it, but I was not transferring it to my business, which now I'm going to be doing. So thank you.
So many agents have set their goal on a hope and a dream, not a strategy and a plan. And when you transition from hopes and dreams to strategies and plans, you win. That's why we are writing this Act 2 series, because Act 2 is all about strategy and plan, strategy and plan. That removes the emotion around it. It just says, I want to hit this. Here's the steps required to take. Here, first step is measure. Where am I? Here's where I am, without judgment. I just happen to be right here on June 7th in my business. Now, where do I want to go by the 31st? Where do I want to go? And then what steps must I take to get there? That's what we're doing in Act 2. Thank you so much. Amy, you're up next.
Hi, thank you so much for the opportunity. So yeah, so when I am in agreement with everybody here. But when you said, are your goals realistic? And then for me, it just hit me like a ton of bricks when I said, no, my goals are not realistic. Last year was a challenging year for me, where I only closed 3 units, and my goal this year was 27. And there's a huge disconnect between those 2 numbers for me. So being told that you're allowed to readjust, which is what I just did during the call, and to how many contacts does it take? What does it take each and every day to measure your goals? And I also want to shout out somebody who's new on our Inspire call. Her name is Miriam. She's in my office and she's amazing. So
I love it. Amy, can I tell you something? The goal is yours. So who said you couldn't adjust it?
Yeah.
Like, I think we feel like we write something down at the beginning of the year, and then if we choose to make an adjustment along the way, that we're a failure of some kind. Look, as long as your hopes and dreams can come true along the goal that you've picked, then go get it. But you're allowed to adjust. I'm proud of you. Dean Moss, you're up next. We're going to take a couple of more and then we got to kick it. Go ahead, Dean.
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate it very much. And thanks for the opportunity. You know, there's a disclaimer on virtually every financial services ad that says past performance is not a guarantee of future results. Bringing it to the real estate business, conversion rates have changed. Where you might have called 3 or 4 people to get an appointment before, now you have to call 9. And here's the thing, and here's the epiphany for me, is that conversion rate is a dynamic thing. It keeps changing. So you have to monitor your conversion rate, which is the root of any success you have, on a very, very periodic basis. You have to keep doing it more, especially now. Because if you think making 100 calls is going to get it, for example, and now it's 150, you'll always be short. So start at the root of it, which is, what do you have to do to improve your conversion rate? If it's scripting, if it's more activity, if it's blocking, figure that out, but focus on the root, which is conversion rate. So thanks for letting me share that.
You got it, Dean. Kathy, Heidi.
Hello, friends from Miami Heatland. I'm sure you're all pulling for Miami Heat tonight. In a serious note, the biggest thing that I'm dealing with right now, and Jordan Freed talked about it on Inspire, is I have to do a better job leading myself before I can lead others. So the obstacle, in a way, is me. So that's what I'm working on, to be able to get myself and to get the team to where we need to be. I'm very fortunate that I have amazing people around me, but I'm just trying to get out of my own way. And I'm realizing that I need to go narrow to go bigger. The last couple of years, I'm feeling the fatigue. And so I found myself, I'm all over the place. So I'm way behind. So that's what I need to do. I need to go narrow and I need to lead myself better before I lead others.
Kathy, I like it. And that's why in Act 2, we're not going to teach 37 strategies. We're going to teach 3 or 4, right? We're going to give you 3 or 4 strategies that are easily implemented to build the pipeline, because that's all it really takes. Database is one, and then it's 3 to 4 others that'll help you. That's good stuff. So I hope you all will join us for Act 2 starting June 26th. act2.jamesdshaw.com is how you enroll in that. Inspire members, it's free for you. Everybody else, $99 through Friday. Sorry I can't get to the 10 hands that are still up, but we got to kick it. It's almost 2 o'clock, and I promised I'd only keep you for an hour. I trust this was of some value to you. The recording will be available immediately inside Pivot Shift Ahead. And of course, I'll send it out to everybody as well. Go be awesome. Thanks for being here. And thanks, Vicky, for helping put it together. We'll see everybody tomorrow morning on the mastermind call, 8 o'clock Eastern. Have a great day, everybody. You got your inspiration.
Thank you.
Go put in the perspiration. Bye.
Thank you, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Everyone.